totally forgot something. So I'm either going to put this at the beginning of the video or at the end of the video. I'm not really sure. But what I wanted to say was I know so many people are buying 2014 inserts, and I wanted to say that sometimes I think buying inserts, even if the inserts don't end up working, make a lot more sense than buying another binder if things aren't working for you, because it's really, I mean, unless it's like a deal breaker kind of thing, like you're trying to work a Midori Traveler's Notebook, but bound planners don't really work for you. Or the rings are just so small you can't even carry the absolute minimum. The rest, and the size too. I mean, if you really need an A5, then a pocket isn't for you. But unless it's like something like, a physical deal breaker, I really think experimenting with different inserts makes a lot of sense. Even if in the end they don't work, and you feel like you've wasted a lot of money, you really haven't. Even finding out what doesn't work is valuable. And I think changing around setups is disorienting, and nothing I ever do feels right at first, because it's just not what I've been doing. I mean, even something that doesn't work and hasn't worked for a long time is comfortable. Even if it isn't optimal, it's comfortable. So when I change things around, I hate them at first. You have to give myself a little peace about it, and make a commitment to, stick with it a week if I really think I can't stand it, or a month. It's all different, and there's a learning curve, and I'm guaranteed to hate everything I do as soon as I do it. So I think that trying out new inserts is really good and will get you closer to whatever it is you're looking for than actually buying binders. Not that there's anything wrong with buying binders. I mean, I would buy more if I could, and I mean, it's like purses, I mean, there are ideal purses, and there are purses that you love but can't carry because the strap's not long enough or something else. And so a planner can be an accessory. So I don't see any problem with buying multiple binders, but I don't think that gets you closer to an organizing system. And I think for me, changing one thing at a time, if you're using a vertical format, week on 2 pages, and that's not working, it's not the week on 2 pages. Maybe it needs to be horizontal, maybe it needs to be lined, maybe it needs to be unlined. And I think those are the kind of things that you have to find out one, step at a time. I never think changing a whole setup really gets you anywhere, because you throw out what worked in the last one for what may or may not work in the next one, and it's just confusing. I think I try to change one thing at a time, so I know right away if it doesn't work or not. And with all the new inserts coming in, and I know everybody really has to change at the end of the month because it's a new year, I think there'll be a lot of upheaval about planning. I know there will be, for me, and it has been for me in those circumstances. But so I just wanted to say that before or after I talked about the yearly inserts, that I think trying out a variety of inserts is a really good idea. And I I just think if what you're looking for is a system, that's the thing to change. Even though buying binders is fun. So, okay, so that's really all I had to say about that. I wrote a blog post this week about using the fold-out yearly calendars, and I know that people are buying inserts for 2014 now, and I wanted to do an adjunct to that blog post because not everybody who watches my videos reads the blog and vice versa. I do think this subject is probably easier to talk about and describe with still pictures. So if you haven't seen that and this is a topic that interests you, maybe take a look at the blog post. I'm sure it's going to be more comprehensive. I leave multiple years in here because I use it differently than most people. The two versions it comes in are the vertical format and the horizontal format, and I think both have a place. To me, the horizontal format would be great for blocking out current information and also, upcoming things like vacations. It's good for putting in school holidays. It's really, I think it could be a great visual map of, what's coming up for you if it was color-coded. The blocks are very small, whereas this seems writable to me. This doesn't seem really conducive to writing down information, but I could see blocking out time for vacations or separating business from personal travel, trying to keep track of different school holidays if you've got kids in different schools, or just goals that you have. I can see this being good for something like that, but what I use this for is sort of an index for my archived pages. I have a lot of things about when I purchased items for warranty purposes, service calls, and resolution to service problems. I just recently had a double charge on a credit card, and I note the day it happened. I also noted the resolution to it. I really think this is a great insert, and I've used it a couple years, but only this year really started to see what it could mean to me besides things in the future. As I write more and more on it, it becomes like an index for all the months, and you certainly could do an index in excuse me, you certainly could do an index in on a separate page, but this is so compact. Yeah, I really think it's an important insert to have and fully use for me, because if these pages go eventually, but this really stays in, and I can keep multiple years in my planner and have a lot of small bullet type bits of information in that if I need more, I know where to go in my archived pages. I mean, if you don't have a lot of archived pages, it's not hard to go through them, but if you've been doing this for any length of time, you can end up with a lot of pages, and if there's something important that you need, it's a little hard to go through page by page until you find it. So I really think that there isn't any rhyme or reason to what I put on here. If I have a feeling that I might need to go back to it, you know, I'll make a notation in here. It could be, it could really be anything. I do put new purchases in here now. The longer I use these, the more I seem to fill them in. I mean, you can see it's much fuller in November. It's, you know, much fuller in October than it was the month before. And I think that this really is, you know, a good use for it. I don't know if anybody, you know, uses it that way. I do a little bit of forward planning. That I put this on here. It's an important expiration date. You know, so I want to run across this as many times as I can. So it's in here. It's also in, you know, somewhere else. The one thing about these is if you have an A5, you can't get the cotton cream, which is a little more durable. So I do tape over the edge, you know, once or twice actually, to keep this as stable as possible. And I'm thinking I should probably tape the edges also for durability, because there, you know, there is, I mean, you're working on a fold, so every time you fold and unfold, it decreases the strength of the paper. So, you know, I'm gonna, you know, just throw that out there and suggest that you also read the blog post, because it's just easier to describe what I do with this in still pictures and also in, you know, in text than it is to just talk about it. But because people are buying inserts now, I did want to get a video up in case, you know, somebody who doesn't read my blog could benefit from it in somehow. So I guess that is it. And I hope you found this helpful. And I'm sure it doesn't do much yearly planning. Not much thought to January. So thank you guys. You know, thank you for watching. I hope you... Oh wait, there's one thing I wanted to do. Where is that? I wanted to just show you the space. So it's about a 2-inch space, and which is certainly enough room to write down an idea. I find these notations not really helpful for me, and neither are the phases of the moon. I tend to white those out because it's really not that much room, and I understand why they're there because it is a planning calendar, but I don't know this is the kind of calendar people use to do a whole lot of planning on. There's not just a lot of room, so I tend to white this stuff out, and any holidays too, and it just gives me more room. So that was it, and thank you everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful.